92% of our communication is visual. 92%, right? So if you're not making and connecting those dots, you're leaving money on the table, baby. And we don't want to do that, because money is energy, and that is what helps us bring our message to other people and show up big and bold and bright, because you have that abundant mindset.
Welcome to Business Origin Stories. I'm Amy Schutte, your guide to crafting a magnetic message for a profitable business. This is the podcast for you if you're ready to claim the transformative power of your own origin story and use it to create a brand that finally stands out. We're here to level up, but more importantly, I'm here to help you elevate your influence, your community, and your impact on the world. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening. And remember, the stories you tell yourself are your greatest currency. Hello, and welcome back to the Business Origin Stories podcast. Today I'm talking to Suze Solari, who is joy in human form. Suze is an author and a powerhouse stylist for women who want to achieve their goals and create a life that they love. She does this through editing and curating empowered wardrobes for women. This episode is for you if you are tired of wearing the same articles of clothing on repeat, or if you're ready to up-level your life and step into your brand in a new way. I know my style has shifted over the past few years, and as my personal brand has grown, I've started to look at my wardrobe as an extension of my brand. Suze and I dive deep into why your wardrobe is absolutely critical to building a business. You're going to love this episode. So, without further ado, here's Suze Solari. I'm so grateful you're here today. Thank you so much. I'm already just thrilled to have you, because people are going to just be so excited to hear what you have to share. Tell everyone, where are you right now in the world?
Oh gosh, Amy, thank you. I'm so full of appreciation and gratitude for you. Thank you for you. You're an amazing soul. And I so appreciate being asked to be on your podcast, which I love. I love everything that you do to help, business people succeed. And we're going to have so much fun today. I've just been looking forward to this to no end. So I am in Chicago, where it's gloomy today, wah, wah, and originally from Portland, Oregon. However, I lived in Hong Kong and Singapore for a little over 5 years in the late 90s, and then ended up here in Chi-Town with my hubs and twin boys who are off to college now, finally. Yay! So that's where I am, and I am so excited for the next time you come to Chicago. We can hang out.
I would love to see you when I come. That would be amazing to see. I have not been to Hong Kong. That's amazing. I didn't realize that you lived there, but I have been to Singapore. I used to do Asia marketing for an international company, and I was in charge of Asia. And so I got to go to Singapore, and I ate food there that was the best food I've ever had in my entire life. Like, I was crying over the burrata. I was demanding to see the chef. I was like, can I come wash your dishes? I had no idea. Like, I was blown away by Singapore. It was such a short trip. We ended up spending a lot more time in like the Philippines, but how was living there? Can we go there for just a quick second before you tell people why you're here?
Yes, ma'am. Oh my God, the food. I mean, it's a cornucopia of delights in both cities. They're ginormous cities. Hong Kong is the size of New York City, 7 million people. Singapore, smaller. Singapore is a very unusual experiment, I would call it.
That's what it felt like, an experiment.
Yeah, and a democratic kind of version of socialism. So they're a small island city-state, and they have become one of the biggest ports in the world. They've achieved so much, and it was fascinating living in both cities and comparing them, because Singapore is very regimented and controlled, and Hong Kong is, Hong Kong is too now.
Yeah.
It wasn't when I was there. It was still under...
You were there in the 90s?
I was in the 90s, so it was under, UK lease, and they had a 99-year lease. And it was so fun, Amy, because we got to experience this, system of, British influence colony with all the English holidays. And then we had all the Chinese holidays were just fascinating. And just had an amazing experience getting to travel all over Southeast Asia and bond with all these different cultures. Really awakened in me. I had it already. Obviously, I was there, but I started traveling my early 20s. I'm from Portland, as I mentioned, and I took a trip to New York City with my mom when I was 21, and it just lit a fire under me. I got to get out in the world. It is one of my top values, as you and I know, studying together. What are our values? One of mine is freedom. I mean, it's the top one, really, freedom. Mm-hmm. If I have freedom, everything else comes, right? If I have freedom, abundance comes. If I have freedom, integrity is there. Those are those top, and vitality. I should say vitality is really number 3 or number in the top 3. I don't have an order. And that freedom to travel and to experience the way other people live and to connect. I'm a highly extrovert, and part of my energy comes from being out in the world, connecting with as many people as I can. New people. I'm constantly in need of new environment, new people, new coolness. What's going on, and creating. And so that was really an amazing platform to be able to do that, was that travel. And I still have friends in Hong Kong that I connect with still on Facebook. And
wow.
Just really so grateful for those experiences. Mm-hmm.
Traveling, especially when you're younger, I think just reshapes the way we see the world. It gives us such an opportunity. It's like, what a blessing that you got to go on that trip. And then now you travel, I can never get a hold of you because you're literally everywhere and nowhere. Like listeners who are listening, we had this beautiful 2-week window to grab Suze. So she's here, and I'm so thrilled because you're on a plane every other week, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. I'm the traveling pants of Suze. You are. It's so cool. It's so great. Once your kids leave, it's not going to lie, it's transition, but it opens up some doors for sure. And it's been super fun. So
it's fun to see women in those different stages, right? I'm in a stage with little kids. I interviewed Lisa Zook a couple weeks ago, so her podcast will be out by the time people listen to this one, but she was talking about that transition into the next phase of life too. And I think it's just so nice to have women that can show other women what's possible for them coming up, and everything's so fleeting. So I'm so excited. Tell people though, Suze, I want people to know, what do you do while you're traveling everywhere, but what do you do in the world? How are you bringing expansion? Because it's so juicy, and we're going to go into all of it today.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for teeing me up for my little, spiel. Amy, I help women connect to the story of who they are on the inside and what they're here to do, purpose, to their outside visually via image and, the branding of their image, so that they always, through powerful style experiences. And this way they're always able to show up confidently and on point, or on brand is really kind of the word that we're using now. And I've been doing this for 12 years in the Chicago area. My background comes from, as I mentioned, working overseas in the interior design industry. So a highly creative industry that really led me to this path of working with individuals and helping them light themselves up, because we are here for a short period of time in this human existence to grow. Right. So that could be healing as a part, usually is, to expand and to help others, to be in service, and to have our messages be out there. And, a lot of people before they work with me might think, oh, well, that's just kind of vanity. It's not fair to judge people. And I would add to them, I would say to them, it's not about fairness. It is a human quality that is in our DNA and has to do with making evaluations about the images that are in front of us. And that is what I know my purpose is, through providing these kinds of experiences like a fantastic, fun, empowered photo shoot. So to look forward to a photo shoot, to expand your brand. I've done trips with clients, style, design, culture trips with clients. And this is where I really can help someone achieve like this next level, right? Because we can buy things, but we can't buy experiences, and how that shapes who we are today and who we want to be and what legacy we want to leave.
The on-brand piece with your style, I think it's always been there, but I feel like it's really starting to gain so much more traction as people are upping their and by upping, I just mean recognizing that they have a personal brand, whether they own it or not, right? This like conscious decision to start owning our brand, because brand is everything. And I think when we're thinking about brand, as a marketer, we do branding, we do visuals, we do messaging, but that style piece is really, really fascinating, Suze, because it's how you're putting yourself out into the world. You said something before we started recording about what 92% of our communication is visual. So if you're not thinking about your style or how you're showing up visually, you're missing a huge chunk of what you could be doing to help move people forward or build that know, like, and trust factor. But that's kind of overwhelming, Suze. Like if people are like, I think of photo, like, so but thinking about trying to style myself for a photo shoot, or I've got a TEDx talk coming up later this year. The idea of like, what the heck do I wear is so overwhelming, right? When you're already trying to do a million things. I'm wondering if you can talk to us about what's at stake, and then how do you even start really defining your style or getting clear on those things, because it's easy to buy things and then they just live in your closet forever and you don't do anything. And where do you even start with all this? Let's go there.
Oh, gosh. So many juicy tidbits to dig into here, Amy. Thank you for really being such a good listener and wanting to solve these conundrums, not only for yourself, as you mentioned, but for all the listeners that love your podcast. So there's many things here that we talked about. The visual communicate, the nonverbal communication piece. So 92%, what the heck? Sheesh, that's huge. Meaning, okay, what are the other components? Meaning that only 8% of our message is being heard, the actual words. Okay. So then you back that up. What is it? My math is not the best, but like 33%, I think, is how you're saying something. So it's inflection, body language, tone. Okay. And a whopping 53%, my math is off. I think it was 53%. 53% is how you are presenting yourself visually. Okay. So I always say, do you want to be an attraction to your message or a distraction? Right? We've all been on Zoom calls where, first of all, number 101 sales, kill your sales, is be off camera. Okay. That's what not to do. Number one, right? Never be off camera. Sure. Never be off camera. We've been on those Zoom calls where they've got some kind of weird backlighting or something's popping out of their head. Well, it turns out it's some kind of weird bookshelves. I don't know. Yeah. So forward lighting is so important because it's showing our eyeballs. Eyes are, the window to the soul, right? They say, and people want connection, and number one connection is through eyes. So you want to have your camera, at eye level. And some of these things we're really aware of now because we've been in the Zoom world, for 3 years now or 4 years now. How long it's been? I can't remember.
Everyone had to up their Zoom game.
Yes. Yeah.
I did a lot. It didn't matter before, right? Now all of a sudden we're like, ooh,
right?
What does
it did matter
look like?
It mattered, but you didn't know how much it mattered back then.
Thank you. That's a better reframe. Yeah. It did matter, but not the way when everyone decided they needed to start going or needed to be on
right
camera all the time.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So when you show up, whether it's on camera or on stage or in a boardroom, whatever it is, and you have, nailed that image with your confident style. So you know what your style is, and you've got the resources. You've found the resources through myriads of manner of ways to do it, to show up like, oh my God, wow, what has she got? So what's going on in their head 53% of the time is, what is she doing? Wow, she's got it. I want some of that. I'm going to listen to what she has to say. So then, boom, your message is being heard, and that what the action you want your prospects to take is going to happen, exponentially. So that's what it's about in sales and marketing. And, we all know if you're a business, no matter what your role is, unless you're, I guess, maybe a tech guy in the back, you're in sales and marketing at all times. We are prospecting, even when we're at Costco, looking for watermelon, whatever. You're going to run into somebody who is a potential client, who is maybe a potential employee. Yeah. And if we don't make those connections, if we're like, oh my God, oh no, just came from the gym, I look like hell, I'm gonna hide over here. And even if that prospect doesn't see you, you just eliminated an opportunity to make a connection with that person. And then maybe you're mad at yourself the whole day, and you're kicking yourself, and your productivity goes way down. So there's so many components about productivity. Like when I get dressed in the morning, I get dressed. I want to see it in the mirror. I want to see me. And that's going to like really empower me throughout the day. Whenever I show up on a call, or when I'm going out, even if I stop to get groceries, I'm like, who's that amazing, image marketer? She's what she's doing. People come up to me all the time, Amy, and ask me like, okay, what's going on? I love this outfit. Or, and they may not want to know who I am, but they're responding to this amazing connection, and I've just inspired them. And then they go and they're like, oh God, that person I met at the store, she's so cool. Like, oh, like her personality just jumped out. And now I'm going to go in my closet. I'm going to find something similar to what she was wearing, and I'm going to have fun.
I think you said something there, and maybe I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but like style is really about connection, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe, but you're just saying I can up it by dressing for what I want in life and for who I need to attract, and stepping into a different identity than, what we, after gym, going to the store kind of a thing. I once had a lady, she's very fashionable, and she went to church with me when I was younger. She was a mom. And one time we were standing in the lobby, and she always looked good, but this was back when, like maybe it's still a thing. Leggings, running around her yoga pants was like cool. I live in a rural area-ish, so it's pretty casual, but she had this group of like younger women around her, and she was like, never go to the grocery store in sweatpants. And we were all like, okay. But I think like what you're saying holds so much truth, because it is, you are your brand, whether you're at the grocery store or you're on an airplane or you're speaking in front of thousands of people. How do you even start defining that though, Suze? Like if people are listening, they're like, listen, I'm a work from home entrepreneur who's just like running, man or woman. How do we even start to say like, what does that mean for me to start owning a specific brand or style, or my brand through style? Where do you even start with people, Suze? That's a pretty overwhelming task.
Yeah, absolutely. There's many levels. And, I wanted to just tack on one thing that you said about, your style being, part of your, well, you may not have said this, but I do believe it's part of your personal development. And that when we invest in ourselves, the investment comes back to us, right? Especially as business owners. If we're not willing to invest in our growth, then why would we expect a client to come aboard and hire us to, get to the next level for themselves? So I always have a business or health coach and spiritual coach. Big believer in coaches. And that's that personal development piece, because it is it's equal to or fuels our professional development, right? Mm-hmm. And so because I'm always speaking to primarily to professional women, certainly, women who have work in the home with families, they deserve to look and feel amazing too. But I always like to start with, okay, style is a business decision. Okay, because what we wear and how we appear really matters. it affects how we feel about ourselves and then how others view us. And I touched on that earlier with communication. But what it comes down to is, are we trustworthy? Do we appear knowledgeable? If our prospective clients don't see that as us as an expert, okay, then it's going to be harder for them to understand that we can help them, achieve the results that they're looking for. And that's what they would hire us for, right? So when I'm working with women to understand and get to the heart of their, we always see what are the challenges. Let's start with that. Like, what are your specific challenges? There are many that women seem to have in common, okay? And how does that affect them when they lack a functioning wardrobe? So we look at, what is going on with their, professional lives, their personal lives, right? Their relationships. And so we kind of dig a little deeper. I like to say that I'm kind of like the clothes whisperer, or the clothing soul whisperer, maybe, because it goes so much deeper than just this, the idea that it's vain, or that it's vapid, or somehow a piece of vanity to worry about your appearance. It goes really, really deep. And, when you lack that kind of confidence and you don't have those pieces, what happens is, your whole system is just sort of at a loss, or helping you get unstuck out of other things. So it's an important component to every part of your marketing piece, right? So we look at what are they currently showing up as? Okay, let's just review. And there's sort of a strategy I have that is several steps, kind of my 3 steps to empowerment. And it's to sort of look through what they have, what they're wearing, what's their kind of current lineup, because they're usually only wearing about 20%, of their wardrobe, right? So it's the whole Pareto principle, right? 80% of the time, they're wearing 20% of their clothes. Okay. So, what is in their closet that needs to curate? So we're going to evaluate and edit and just remove the things that are not serving them anymore for whatever reason. I have a lot of kind of removal practices. And a lot of times people have difficulty letting go. It's probably one of the most common situations with the women that I help, Amy, is, oh my God, I have so many things I never wear them. And that's where the overwhelm comes in, right? It's decision fatigue. Oh, geez, should I wear this? Does it look right on me? Especially if things fit. If you have a fit issue or a size issue, it's a little bit easier to manage because those are kind of a little more obvious. Well, I can't wear this right now. Okay, well, if you can't wear it and you're on, I work with a lot of women that are on health and fitness challenges, and they're like, okay, I'm in limbo. I've got, another, 6 months of weight loss, and I'm going to lose, 12 more pounds each quarter. It's pretty cool. But I can't wear these anymore. They're too big, but I'm not willing to spend a bunch of money on new clothes. And most of the time when I work with women, we don't even need to go shopping right away, because it turns out there is hidden gold in your closet. There are outfits just crying out and asking to be made. And that's where that whisperer part of me comes in, is through the strategy of outfit creation, which is really that third one after edit and curate, is create. Sometimes we have ads. Sometimes the 4th step is ad. Sure. And while we're creating these new empowering looks that you just can't wait to wear, we might find something missing. Like, hey, do you have a pair of wide leg white pants? You know what? I used to have some white jeans, some skinnies. I kind of know I'm supposed to get rid of those now. Yes, please. Please remove the skinnies, ladies. Please do. I'm kind of all over the place, but I don't have a pair of white jeans. Okay, boom. It's going on your shopping list.
Yeah.
So we create a shopping list. It's so empowering, Amy, because then you know exactly what you need. At all, say you're out shopping next weekend with girlfriends. You happen to go to Banana Republic, and they have wide leg white pant. Suze told me I need to get one of those. You can so confidently buy those pants and know that it's a really good investment for you. It's something that you really need, not just want or on a whim. Or, people shop. We evaluate your shopping habits, where you're shopping, when, why you're shopping. If you have a closet full of clothes, that's a spiritual issue, potentially, right? You can go real deep as to why people have an Amazon box or a whatever, subscription boxes that show up on a doorstep every day. What's that about?
Yeah.
And that is a colossal investment of time and money that could be going misused. And when I say I try to remove the habit of I'm going to buy, I'm going to regret, you're going to return, and you're going to repeat. And it's this vicious cycle of like going back and forth to, UPS or the shop you got the thing at. What is your time worth, ladies? Right? To buy something, especially online, it's so hard to fit. And I've got some good, tricks for that too, to reduce the time waste of buying online. I always like people to try on things, but I get it. It's hard to go to the mall and an investment of 2 hours to the mall and you come out of there with a pair of earrings.
Right.
What was that? If you're charging $500 an hour, well, that's $1,000 down the shoot.
You said so many beautiful things there. One thing that I love, it's woven into everything you've said, but the professional development and personal development go together, and your clothing reflects pieces of that, because I'm sure as you're working with a lot of these women, imposter syndrome is coming up. Like, who am I to dress like that? Or who am I to spend money on myself, right? Especially if you've worked with, you're a mom of twin boys. So I know there was a season of your life where you were probably just like, it's not about me at this point in time necessarily, but it is about you. It's always about you and who you're becoming and who you need to be in the world. But I'm sure there's a lot of mental barriers that you experience with your clients. Is that true? Or are there a couple top ones that you seem to come up against a lot when it comes to that personal development piece? And is there maybe one trick or one little tidbit you could give people to start chipping away at that specific challenge?
Absolutely. I get it, because I've been there in the regard to having little ones, probably that first year. I mean, I don't even remember the year of 2005. Okay. So that was the year my twin boys were babies. And if you ask me anything that happened in that year, I will not know it. So, I
can just imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. I wore a lot of black because it was easy to clean and, just, you could get spit up on yourself and you could, just throw it in the wash. And so if you are a new mom, by all means, wear what's comfortable and what you can wash easily, but then, okay, after you get out of that haze, put those black clothes away, use them as an accent. And so I can suggest that one tool would be understanding what colors look good on you. That is just one simple thing that you can do, that if you're completely clueless, that you can say, oh gosh, red looks really good on just about everybody, really. A red and magenta. I always say there's two colors that look on all skin types and all, hair colors. And that's magenta and turquoise. There's one little tip.
Okay.
But if you do know what colors look good on you, and you can even find out just by asking people. And when you show up, Amy, like at a function, whatever it is, Easter or dinner, or if it's at a networking thing, and you're wearing something that you really feel amazing in, and it's a good color for you, and people give you compliments, you're going to get an extraordinarily, large amount, much more compliments, because people, they're watching, they're looking, right? So they're like, oh my God, you look so cute today. You look amazing. Oh, that color is so good on you, right? I mean, I'm wearing red today for those who are watching on YouTube. And red is actually, there's just science behind what color you wear. And this goes into, the realm too of professional speaking and such. And that red is the color of commanding attention and being perceived as an expert. So, and then blue, for example, is the color of loyal relatability, not just loyalty, but, also connection in that relatable component. So I've got some blue here too. Anyway, finding out what colors look good on you is one step. And I do have a resource I can mention at the end for you to find that out. And back to, though, you did ask me about soul purpose and personal development and the idea that you matter from birth. You don't have to prove yourself. We're not here to prove anything. We're not here to compare ourselves. And I believe that social media is a powerful tool, and I love what it has done for the world to connect so many good things. But there are things that are dark, that are full of comparison. And so I try to help clients be inspired by what they see on social media, especially when it comes to developing their style signature. So that is really identifying what is their style statement and how does that speak about them, right? And I use about 8 different style signatures. And that's one thing that we'll do straight off the bat, is I'll even give them my little quiz before we start working together so that they can understand, oh, it turns out I am a preppy sporty. I always thought I was a classic, but now I find I want to wear something a little bit more fun that has maybe some detail, maybe some polka dots. And I encourage them to also look at icons in social media. Could be celebrities, but your icons could be any person you're taking inspiration from. It could be your great Aunt Lois, where I grew up with, my auntie, who always just killed it, looked like $1 million, and I always wanted to play with her jewelry and her wigs, and back when wigs were good for you, So knowing your style is essential to kind of starting out that foundation. And then we're going to tap into, your soul's purpose. And we'll go deep if I have a client who really lets me help her to go deeper into finding out maybe if she does have a shopping addiction. Again, I've been there. I know what that feels like. The guilt and shame of having a shopping addiction, stems from, some deep stuff that I can help them to have awareness for, and suggest maybe if they want to get some help. It could solve many things in their lives, but having, a box on your doorstep every day, like I mentioned, is potentially a condition. We want to say it's just a loss for a word, but it is just an element that could be pointing to that we want to reduce. And so we can work in ways where I had a client once who, she had small children. She was staying at home, and she just had a closet that was so packed full of stuff. It was a walk-in closet where we could barely walk. And things are packed so much that you couldn't even get your hand into move a hanger to see what was in there. And our first order of business was, right, we are reducing. And there was duplicates upon duplicates. There was tons of things with price tags. I'm like, okay, I've just diagnosed potentially an issue here for you. And she admitted, yes, when she gets frustrated or feeling low, she goes online. And the kids are having a nap, and she hits the button, purchase. Yeah. And so I just help her to see, she just have like an aha, oh my God, I never thought of that. And so we did talk about some strategies of, when you're feeling that way, if you can take your kids with you to the park, or maybe you have a babysitter, go for a run, do something physical that gets you out of that mode of wanting to go to, hit the pay button. Because there's interesting research that's been around for a little bit where they show that when you are buying something, so you're at the store with your credit card, getting your new thing, you're swiping or whatever, tapping, and you hit pay, or if you're at home and you're hitting buy on your computer, what happens to your brain is crazy. You get hit with a endorphin dopamine equal to a hit, like as if you're taking a hit of cocaine.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So that
wow.
You see the brain, the cortex of the brain, part of the brain that lights up. They are the same. So if that's what's happening, that's what people are doing, is they're, kind of going down a little bit of a rabbit hole with this, but they're doing something to distract themselves from a feeling they're having.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a low vibrational state that they're in, of some kind of feeling of despair, worry, inadequacy, low feelings, whatever. And they're trying to get themselves out of it by buying something. And that's what constitutes a shopping addiction. And I know because I had that was happening to me years ago. And I was fortunate that I had the awareness and I was able to have some therapy to remove myself from it. And I also had some circumstances that helped me get out of it. But I can recognize it so quickly in others because of that experience that I had. So
I think you as a stylist, the nice thing, that's a poor choice of words. The incredible thing about what you're doing is you're saying, I can help you edit your closet, curate something amazing. But Suze, you're also taking time to help people. And this is what I love to help. Marketing and branding to me is transformational because you're claiming space in the market. You're saying, this is my message to the world and I'm going to go deliver it. And I need the clarity and the confidence to go do that. And to do that, I always say, like, let's return back to you. It's not just what the market needs. It's what do you offer the world, right? Like, let's come home to yourself. And I think what you are saying is you've got to come home to yourself, know your colors, know your signature style, recognize when you're numbing, recognize why you're doing things, because all of that, it's not just about clothes, right? This isn't just about looking really great. This is an inside job, is what you're saying. That's powerful. And I'm assuming a lot of stylists may not be approaching it in that same way. And that's really what makes you unique. And I know this isn't something we've talked about on this podcast, but you and I had a call a long time ago. I don't know if you remember this. And you were telling me about the energetics of holding clothes and then letting them go. And that stuck with me. I don't know if you want to talk about that for a second. That conversation stuck with me so much because I was like, what does that mean? But I found myself thinking through that, as I've been upgrading different things or changing out clothes for seasons. Can you talk about that piece? Because I found that little blip from you in that call, I don't know, that was a year ago, maybe, just wildly fascinating. Can you talk about that?
Gosh, so glad. I love this subject because it is directly connected to, as you're saying, your message, because it's part of, your clothes. I always say that my clothes, my jewelry, my accessories, they're my friends. Like there is one thing about traveling is I hate to leave my friends home.
Oh my gosh.
I have a whole book I wrote a whole book on how to plan and prepare outfits and then pack, of course, for travel, because it is hard to figure out how to prepare for travel and you get overwhelmed with that. But right. So that communicating that message, how important it is. And in reality, your personal appearance is as significant as your message. It's connected, right? And so when you have things in your closet that don't light you up, that, we also mentioned fit, silhouette, they don't fit you for whatever reason. So there's some negative, that you can get some negative energetics from clothing that doesn't fit, that you're keeping in there. You think, oh, well, I'm going to have that as a inspiration, to get into that size, right? Well, on the other hand, it also can make you feel bad every time you go in there. Just like when you get on the scale, if you weigh yourself every day, which I don't, unless you're on a fitness challenge, your coach tells you to, but you might feel bad about yourself the whole day if you saw that thing that was in your closet that didn't fit you. So anything that is over, I always say one size too big or one size too small, I recommend removing. Now, again, that's not if you're on a challenge where you're like, okay, I'm going to get down to that size. So if you're on a challenge, really briefly, take those things that are not your current size. Fold them nicely into a container store box, put them under your bed or in the basement. So they're not part of your daily lineups. They're not bringing up those negative emotions. Okay. Now, if you've identified things that are like, okay, it fits, and, I'm, not sure, or I don't want to get rid of this thing because I might need it. Okay. So there's always that, what if I need it? Now, the only category of clothing that I feel is something that you can keep for that, what if I need it, is evening wear. Because that is the, maybe once a year, you're going to bring out a beaded ball gown, okay? Or a cocktail attire has more purpose. And it doesn't necessarily fit in that. But if you have something really, really super fancy, full of feathers and sequins, then it can be in a section of your closet that is evening wear. Okay. So that's really the only, I would say, clothing category that is okay to keep for once a year. Everything else, if you've gone through the process of taking those pieces and analyzing whether they are your current style, whether they are your current size and fit and silhouette. Silhouette has to do with body shape, right? So, for example, I'm a petite, so curvy petite with a short body. So my legs are longer in proportion. So things that fit me better are something that might be slightly cropped, maybe a peplum, maybe something that stops at my waist at, a little bit longer than my waist actually, and flatters my curves. Okay, so that's silhouette. So you might have something that you bought because the salesperson told you, oh my God, you've got to have that. It's amazing.
It's amazing. You look amazing.
Like, what? Like, what? And then if it can't be altered, which is a whole nother resource that Americans don't think about, first off, is alteration is your friend. So if you could have something like, I'll buy a dress that's too long in the body because of that short body I was talking about. And like, oh, well, it's got a nice roomy armhole. There's plenty of room to take that up. And once you do that, it fits perfectly everywhere else. So those are those tricks. And so once you've gone through your clothes and you're standing there with a section of clothes, you're like, okay, I paid a lot for these. I'm not wearing them. Even there's still price tags on them. I mean, if it cannot be returned to the store, usually it's after 30 days. A lot of my clients are like, oh, I just can't remove. And the conversation I remember having with you, Amy, back then was sort of a strategy for helping someone remove. Because once you remove that which does not serve, and this is energetically in so many ways, okay, we talk about containers, you then have just opened your container to receive. But you don't have old muck blocking you. And that includes our clothes and our things. And that's why, Marie Kondo is so popular with her feng shui, sort of ways of removing clutter and removing items that don't bring joy.
Yeah.
And so I love the idea that every single thing in our closet brings us joy. Joy is that highest level of frequency, right up there with love, right?
Yeah.
That's where we want to be at all times. So having a wardrobe that is just okay. Nope. Just okay is not okay anymore. Right? Well, we're not going to have it. We're not going to have it. So removing those things, one way that I do help women let go is, let's look at who would wear this. Someone with XYZ body shape, someone with XYZ coloring, not you. Okay. And that's if it's wrong in those reasons. And so what about donating? What about supporting your local community? We all have places we can support and with our donations, and maybe if your way of supporting is through your time, maybe your way of supporting, a worthy, charitable organization is through monetary. Maybe it's through giving something that no longer serves you, but really light up someone who needs that article of clothing or that coat or that pair of shoes that that are special, but you're not wearing them. You haven't worn them in years, and it's time to let go. So think of the benefits that can help heal the world by giving. And once I say that to someone, they're like, oh my gosh, absolutely. I can't wait to see this go to someone who would love and cherish it as much as I did when I first had it. So there's those things. And they can do some other woo-woo stuff too that has to do with your higher self, knowing what's right for you and what's not. So there's some fun little exercises we do with kinesiology.
That's really amazing, because I like the idea of the container, because I think so many of us look at our closets and it's a scarcity piece, right? Where I paid so much for this and I'm not wearing it. You talked about the regret and shame cycle of shopping addiction, but I think there's probably also that shame cycle of looking at our closet and being like, I have so much abundance and I'm not taking advantage of it, or, and Christina Hollinger was on my podcast early on. She's a feng shui expert. And her kind of mantra for the year one year was be her now. And I loved when she said that, because I think it's the same thing with your clothes. Like, are these the clothes that this type of identity of this person that you really want to be in the world would wear, would own, would have, and giving yourself permission to desire a big juicy life, to be audacious with what you want, and then also realize, I'm holding on to an old identity so tightly that there's no way I can get there. And, clothing is just one way that expresses. It comes out in so many other ways that you can be her now or be that person you want to be now. But style, what a powerful, visual identity to look at every day and touch and feel. And, we're wrapped in clothes all day. So
I know it is. It's like, I always say too, it's like someone who might have an eating disorder. You have to eat every day. How do you navigate that? And so we have to get dressed every day. And so why not have the tools to empower us at the ready with those outfits that light us up, because we deserve it, right? At our basic core needs. One of the things that humans are required of outside of the basic core needs of oxygen, food, and companionship is aesthetic. And so we can do that for ourselves. And that can be a mode for healing. And like you said, having an abundant mindset of receiving. I am worthy of looking and feeling amazing every day in my clothes, no matter what I'm doing, where I'm going. I want to feel like, damn, I nailed it. It's like when you come out of the hair salon, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to wash your hair for weeks because it looks so amazing, just so pretty, lit up. Yeah. Yes. And you're just going to go out and kill it, and we deserve that, right? Yeah. And that calls out on the mountaintops. I'm amazing, right? We deserve that.
And it shifts your energy. How powerful, Suze. I am wondering if you could, kind of leave us with maybe, because you've talked about so many things. I know you're an author too, which is incredible. You have all these resources. Can you give us, where's the best place if people are just listening to this and going, okay, I hear you. I need to up my style game. I'm going to go edit my closet right away, which maybe I need someone to help me do, but maybe I can do some of that on my own. But then what kind of resources can you point them to that are yours, Suze, that they could start down this specific journey of style? And then would love to know, just because you've talked about some of the more personal and professional development, spiritual development here too. Is there another resource or book or podcast or person that you want to point people to too? Because sounds like it's a 3-prong approach here.
Absolutely. At least 3 prongs. So I do have resources for people from every, across all spectrums as far as, time and investment. I would point them to my website to get all the resources. So that's SuzeSolariStyle.com, SuzeSolarisTyle.com, where you can become a part of my style community. You get some fun little juicy tidbits sent to you when you do that, like my top 3 tips to crush your headshots. It's always fun, and you can use that for phone calls or FaceTime calls or Zoom calls or presentations. So it's got some downloadable fun things that you can use from the get-go. That's no charge for that. You can also download any of my style handbooks available digitally. You can also buy them in print on demand from Amazon. That's also on the site. You can go to my Instagram page, that's Suze Style Lab, and then you can find, just follow and watch what I'm doing, where I am. I'm always pointing out all the different resources that I'm always on the hunt for empowerment. I talk about authorship as a part of my journey too. And in my link tree in my bio, you can also learn about the conference that I own, which is to empower independent authorship. And it's really for the author, narrator, podcaster, and reader community. The conference happens annually in Vegas every year in the fall, but we also have a regional community. So if you're interested in becoming an author, or you are an author and you want to get your message out further, then certainly, join our community there. And I think the last thing was, I'll be on the color resource. I do have a color resource for, finding your best color. And I think the best way to do that would be in your show notes there, because it is a system called Your Color Guru, which I've got a link for and a code. It's Suze Color Style for 10% coupon off of that service. And it's all digital.
And that's like a color typing. Okay.
Yeah. So find out that was what your season is, like I used to do years ago.
I know. I remember that in the 80s, right? We would get these books from the library, and it's like, spring. The eyeshadow would be like so intense back then. Yes. I was like 8, however old I was. I don't know. But anyway, it was, I'm glad it's coming back. I love that. People are doing all the there's a lot of color typing ways to do things now. So that's cool. And just to link back to, that was one of the first things that you said of like, here's how to kind of bust their imposter syndrome. Find the colors that look good. Start paying attention to your signature style. You have a style quiz. You've got some stuff. We'll link all of that up in our show notes. And Suze, I want to have you come back again and talk all about the author part, because we didn't talk about that this time. But that's like a whole another part of your personality that I think is just really fascinating. And for people that are building a brand, having a book, having a podcast, having thought leadership out in the world, I talk about that in my claim phase. I like to have the foundations in place before you go too crazy with all of those pieces, because that visibility is absolutely incredible. So I want you to come back, and maybe your hubby too, and talk about books and all the ways that it's changed your life and how you help people do that. But yeah. And then do you have any, these resources are incredible. Thank you for sharing them. Is there any other last piece of advice or any beautiful thing you just kind of want to wrap up with to remind people or have people remember as they're editing their style and their brand and showing up boldly and beautifully in the world?
Oh gosh, Amy, you're such a pro. I love you so much, the way you wrap things up. And it's been such a pleasure being on your podcast here, which is so impactful, and very, very grateful to be holding this space with you. And I would absolutely love to come back and talk some more. It's been so much fun. And I would leave people with the idea that they're at their core, at their soul level, they are beautiful. You are beautiful. I love you, and you are worth it. And you have everything you need inside you. And just reflective upon that, there is an author, speaking of authors, who is quite an interesting fellow who wrote a beautiful book and has now written several others, who recovered from a very dark place, being in Silicon Valley. His name is Kamal Ravikant, and his book is called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. It's a powerful, profound story of his journey and the message behind it, and even a wonderful tool that he has of saying to yourself, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, 10 times a day, like 10 times. I just love that book so much. And I actually listened to it and read it at the same time. Kind of fun thing to do. So that would be my recommendation. Just whatever you do, go get that book or go listen to it. And then you can listen to it for free on YouTube.
That's a great recommendation. I love that book too. That's an amazing recommendation. And I think it ties so well into the heart of your business and what your message is to the world, and what you've said today on this podcast is it's really about loving yourself enough to be able to invest in who you need to be in this world to show up. So, Suze, thank you so much for coming. I want to hug you through the screen. I can't wait to come to Chicago and make you go on a shopping trip with me.
We will.
We will.
You will have fun.
Thank you so much. I'll link everything up. And yes, please come back. I'd love to have you come back and we'll talk some more. So thank you so much.
Adore you to pieces, and I can't wait to come back. Love you.
Thanks for listening to Business Origin Stories. Love the podcast? Be sure to share it with a friend or colleague and give us a review on Apple Podcasts. Join me on Instagram and make sure to sign up for our weekly email.